We're sitting here with Professor Jeff Mitchell, your 9th visit to Frequency Martial Arts. And actually, today marks your 11th anniversary coming to Bloomington. It was 11 years ago. You were in John Graybill's basement with Hobson filming the DVDs. What keeps you coming back to Bloomington?
Ed does.
Really?
Yeah, Ed does. Just to see Ed. No, it's amazing out here. And it's fun to come out and see a lot of the people that you started with come in here. And I love the school that the reason the school makes it the trip great is because you don't have all the egos here, and people just want to learn and have fun with jiu-jitsu, and you don't get the crazy guys that are all about winning and being the best. They just want to learn and have fun.
And speaking of learning, we've already wrapped up 2 workshops. We've got another workshop tomorrow morning. You had a big emphasis today on drilling versus rolling. Can you share your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, of course, rolling is very important, but not enough people take time to drill the moves. And, if you don't drill it to the point where you can do the move without thinking about it, it's going to be too hard to hit the move, because as soon as you think about the move you're getting ready to do, your opponent moved, even if it's just an inch, and it takes the whole move away. And, we don't, even when during class, you only spend like 15 minutes per move, maybe letting them drill it. And that's really not enough. They have to drill it, thousands of times to be able to just do it without thinking.
And you talk about that too when it comes to schools when they offer open mat sessions.
Mm-hmm.
You focusing on, instead of doing, 15 rounds in that time frame, to just go off into the corner and just drill whatever it is that you're working on.
And I try to tell the guys at my school, I'm like, if you look, the lower belts are all trying to kill each other on one side, and then you get the higher belts just drilling the moves. That should open your eyes a little bit. But I know drilling can be boring too.
Mm-hmm.
So the young guys, they want to just get out there and get it in, fight, and but drilling it's so important, and there's so much little of it actually done.
And then also too, during the workshop, while we had a set curriculum as to what we were going to be working on. For example, the first night we were looking at controlling the back, finishes, and escapes. The second workshop we did geared towards the triangle. But you always leave time for teammates to ask questions. What advice do you give to someone, whether they're just starting their journey in jiu-jitsu or they've been training for years, when it comes to asking questions?
Well, a lot of people have never been to the camps or seminars, or just a little embarrassed to ask questions, because especially the newer guys, they don't know me, so they're a little bit more embarrassed to ask. But you just have to ask, just like in anything. If you want to get better, you have to ask questions. You have to, when you're having trouble with something, or you don't realize, or you don't know how to, finish a move or finish an escape, asking is the best way, because the person 3 spots down from them probably has the same question and doesn't want to ask. And as you saw today, a couple people asked some really simple questions. And, as soon as I showed it, everybody in the room was like, can we drill that?
Right.
So, even though the one person had a silly question, not silly, but it was a small question that he thought was silly, everybody was like, oh man, let's drill that. So, that should show you that you got to ask the questions.
Yeah, there's one team I recall her shouting out, "This totally changed my game."
Oh, yeah.
When we're talking about, faking, giving up the back in order to escape the side control pressure.
And mount, yes. Both mount and side control, yep.
One of the things that you see, regardless of your affiliation in the school, is that, people train. When they start, they get their blue belt, they get the blue belt blues, they disappear.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to blue belts? Because the thing is every school owner does this. We encourage them to keep coming into class, keep putting in the work, but they stop coming through the door. But you bring in a guest instructor, they show a technique, or they give a piece of advice that their head coach has been giving them for months, for years, and all of a sudden it clicks. So what advice do you give to someone who maybe they're that four-stripe green belt in Hobson's Association, or they're on the verge of getting their blue belt, in any affiliation, when it comes to continuing their training?
Well, so like the blue belt blues is it's a real thing, and I see a lot of it is because they've been training for years, and a lot of the blue belts, they get really good, and then all of a sudden they feel like they plateau. They feel like they can't do anything to people, nothing's working anymore, they're not getting better. And that's the simple reason. The simple reason for that is because they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and they're doing it to the same people. So those same people are like, oh, well, I know what he's doing now, I can defeat that. So I always try to tell people, when you're not as motivated because things, it's just not going your way anymore, if you feel like you plateau, then you have to change your game. Most blue belts, especially the young guys, they're going to be on their backs upside down, and that's all they want to do is, they want to berimbolo. Half of them don't know how to do an arm bar from the guard, but they can berimbolo 4 times in a row. So at that point, you got to really set your basics, get your basics better, and then start working on your passing. You always change your game up when you feel like it's not working anymore.
And then what advice do you give to coaches? You have some teammates that come in and all they do is come to practice, they train, they do open mats, but then you have teammates who have really stepped up and they're helping the facility and they're coaching classes, but they hit that burnout factor. What advice do you give them where they don't have that motivation?
It's almost like the same thing. Like if you're helping teach classes and it's getting stale for you, and it's just like, oh, I got to go do that again, then it's up to you to switch your classes up. Not like, not 100%, but you don't always have to add in grappling. You don't always have to add in drilling. You can have one night you come in and say, all right, guys, we're warming up, and then we're grappling all night. You can have some nights when you say, we're just doing drills all night long, and you just change it up. And look for fun things, because you feed off the students. If you see the students just sitting there with their heads down, like, oh man, this is boring, then your head's going to go down. And you get the students excited, and they're happy, and they're having fun, they're laughing, and that excites you to want to keep doing it.
Okay, and then one last question. We talk about the workshops, and whether it's within Hobson's Association or just workshops in general. You've got people who, like you said before, they've never attended a workshop, they've got that intimidation factor, but you also brought up a point where you brought guys from your own school to a workshop that you were also coaching at. What are the benefits that you see from bringing your teammates that you teach 7 days a week at your facility to a workshop that you're already coaching at?
Well, you get a lot of different views from a lot of different people. Just sharing the mats with new people, that's the fun part of jiu-jitsu, because like there'll be guys that are in one gym and they're killing everybody, and then they go to the gym down the road and they get killed by everybody, and it's because of styles. My style of my student style of grappling is probably different from yours. So when they come together, neither one has really come against that style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really helps to be able to see different things and meet different people and pick people's brains. You just ask a lot of questions. My guys are always asking questions, and we just did. We went down to North Carolina and did the camp, and there was a lot of black belts. So, and all of them we all can do the same move, but we all had little different tweaks in and out, to where mine may not be good for you at all, but the hand placement of this black belt will change everything for you. And that's how you have to learn. You can't learn from just one person all the time.
Awesome. Any advice you give to any coaches out there that are running schools to keep it interesting? outside of what we've already discussed?
You know, I think school owners, especially the young guys coming up, they want to do too much too fast. You know, you have to, you keep it interesting by learning every day. And, you know, if you got, like I said, if you got those blue belts out there, they can berimbolo everybody, but they can't throw a triangle up right. You know, you have to start and you have to build them up. Because a lot of students, you know, they'll get out there and they'll get smashed by like new white belts come in because this white belt knows his basics. And you know how to, you know, do all these crazy, I don't even know the names for half of the things these kids are doing now. And, you know, they feel down, you know, they don't feel like they're good enough now because they're getting beat up. So make sure all your guys know the basics before they know how to do all that crazy stuff. And keeping it interesting is like every now and then, you know, you can add a glow roll to your school. That's a lot of fun. You can, one of my black belts, Rich, he does this thing called Gang Wars. We don't do it when I'm there. So he loves it when I leave, so he can do them. And he just splits the class up on each end of the mat and they go at it. And I've seen him do it a couple times. It's pretty funny when you have 5 guys on top of the last guy on the other team, and the other guy's just holding and they're trying to rip them apart. And it's actually pretty funny, and they have a great time. They'll start telling me as soon as I get in the next day, Rich, let us do ground or Gang Wars. It's so fun. So just little stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, hey man, I appreciate you taking time away from your academy, your family, to come share your knowledge on the mats. And we got a big day tomorrow. We're going to be going over various guard passes, and then got the camp in October.
Yes.
Down at RMU headquarters. Spots are still available for that.
Yeah.
What advice you have to somebody in the affiliation that's never been to headquarters for a camp?
Well, I can tell you, almost all of my students who went for the first time, they all go back. It's just an investment in yourself too. And a lot of people think, oh, it's too much jiu-jitsu. But you have to go in there knowing that you're not going to learn every move every instructor teaches. The main thing is taking little bits of each move and then incorporating them into your style. And it's just like I was saying about the other black belt may put his hand in a different place, and that changes everything. And that's stuff you'll pick up. Plus, you know, you'll get to meet your team from around the world and hang out with them and make new friends. It's an amazing time. Amazing time.
Awesome. Well, we've got a big day tomorrow, and then, you know, off to Tampa in October, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you pick some advice up from the interview and go to class. Listen to your coach and be coachable. Thank you very much.
Thank you.